What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I am Avril.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with family law attorney Brittany Dixion. We'll also be getting into our hot take this week, where we're going to talk about a little Tik Tok moment. But first, Tia, what's going on?
Girl, not a whole lot. I am home alone for an entire week. No husband, no kids. So I have been living it up. Like being able to only think about myself or only have to think about myself. Working on projects, getting stuff organized around the house, going to happy hours and out and doing MLB All-Star stuff. Just like really enjoying myself.
Taking care of you.
Like refueling myself. But what's going on with you?
Oh, back to reality. We got football camps, volleyball camps. Life has started lifing all over again. But I'm here for it. It's been fun watching my babies get back into it and supporting them. And that's about it for now. Just back into the swing of things.
Chilling.
So
I got a question though. So you dropped little Nate off a few weeks ago. How has he been adjusting?
Yes. I dropped him off at college and he's in the dorms. He'll be in the dorms for the next 6 weeks with his teammates learning the ropes of college. They're going to a summer school class as well as they're doing weights in the morning. They're also doing conditioning. They are running routes. They're going to watch film. So it's a full day. And he's like, dang, this is a lot. I'm like, welcome. But he's adjusting. When I talked to him, we FaceTimed and I said, you're getting a little more weight on you. You look a little different. He's like, I do. I said, yeah. So just in this small amount of time, I've already seen a little bit of a difference. But I miss him more than I can ever explain to anyone. But excited to see him. I'll see him in August. So.
Oh, yes, nice.
Listen, enough about that, y'all. We're going to get into this week's hot take. It's time for this week's hot take. Tell us what we got.
Okay, so I want to talk about a TikTok that kind of made its rounds on TikTok as well as Twitter. Essentially, it's this lady. She's in her 40s. She was divorced, but she was talking about in general how if she had known what she known now in her 40s, she would have never married her husband. But then she started giving these like examples. Or reasons why. It wasn't that there was like infidelity or this, that, and the other. It was just that as they moved through life, they changed, basically. Like they became different people. And he wasn't into some of the things that he used to be into, or she was into new things. And it just was like this mismatch or whatever. And I got to thinking about that in general, because I was like, is that really a reason to like not be married anymore? Like because you all grew and changed and stuff like that. Like that's a part of natural life. But outside of that, I was just questioning in general, like, okay, so if I knew what I knew today, would I have married my husband through all the trials, the tribulations, the ups, the downs, and all the things? So I thought it would be a good topic for us to talk about today, especially given that we got the Breakup Lawyer on coming up here later. So
yes, it's a perfect alley-oop into it. I think so. For me, I think I went into marriage knowing that people change. That's just a part of life, Now it's different that it's different if people change and they get ugly. If they get ugly, then I can understand why she's like, I wouldn't have done this. I completely understand that. But if it's just that she's not comfortable with the change and the things that he's decided to do different or separate, I don't know. I think I don't have to do everything with my husband. I've never felt that way. I was my own person before I met him. And that's probably because I'm 3 years older. Shout out to the Cougars out there. So I kind of knew who I was, and I kind of had my own footing, and I have my girlfriends and my people that I've kind of met along the way. So I don't necessarily need Nate to do whatever it is I need to do. Now, if Nate started acting ugly, that's a different subject. we're going to have to sit down and figure out what he's going through in life, because that's completely different. But I feel like she needs to give us more context in why she decided, like, yeah, I would have done this again, because I would want to understand. Like, I need to get up in it. Yeah. It might be the psychologist in me. What about you, Tia? What you think?
So as she started to talk about her significant other changing and likes and stuff changing, I'm like, yeah, like I see that path, right? Like sometimes like you hear people talk, they're like, well, he changed or she changed or she's not doing this again and he's not doing this like they used to do or whatever. And it's kind of like one of those, well, you are supposed to grow and evolve and do the things, you know? But if there is a change where, okay, well, I actually don't like this, I like this, you know, what we were doing before, then it's more of a conversation, you know? And it's more of like, okay, well, this is what I like and this is what I would like for you to do. Can we make an agreement that we'll continue to do this? And you know what I mean? Like I feel like marriage is a constant discussion of negotiations, because everybody's not going to want to do exactly what you want to do all the time, right?
Absolutely not. And I'm fine with that.
Exactly, right? But I do think in general, you have to make clear the things that you want and how people fulfill it. And then the person can decide at that point if it's something they want to do or can concede to or whatever the case may be. But I think the thought of people evolving and changing and growing and being exposed to new things so they like naturally become different people, that's not a bad thing, right?
No, it's
like
not.
you can grow together. Right? Like that's the goal of marriage, is to grow together. So it's interesting.
And you know, I think a lot of people too, they get caught in the mundane everyday life of being a parent or a partner. And you can't just be a parent or a partner in your relationship. You know, I think that those things get lost. Like you have to literally spend the time and go date and talk to each other and communicate with one another. And listen to each other. Because there is so much evolution that happens. Someone's going to change. Someone's going to make a mistake. Someone's going to do something that you may not feel comfortable with. But what I've learned is you have to have emotional intelligence. And a lot of people don't realize that emotional intelligence is a muscle you have to continually flex for it to become something that, regardless of your emotions, you can find a way to effectively communicate with your partner so that you guys can move on a like-minded road together while being different, while enjoying different things. And so, and that's
always remembering that you are like, it's a team, right? It's a team. And like, you don't want anybody on your team to lose. So you gonna work through it, and you gotta
date. You gotta love on each other. Cause listen, we all we got. Like we in this together. Like I'm supposed to love on you. You supposed to love on me. That's all you got. So it's so important to think about all of those things that you used to do when you first dated, and never lose that. That to me makes the biggest difference. Like, and take turns. Like you pick a place. And then surprise me. I want to be surprised sometimes too. I'm the planner typically, so I'll tell Nate like, listen, you need to pick someplace because I'm tired of picking, and I want to be surprised.
So nice.
But
y'all let us know.
Yes, let us know what y'all think. Would y'all get married again? Would y'all do it all over again? We want to know. Asking for a friend.
Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines or drop us a note. Because we'll post this as one of the social clips. So let us know what you think.
All right, that's it for this week's Hot Take. Coming up next, our chat with Brittany M. Dixion. On the show today, we have a speaker, entrepreneur, mentor, and attorney known as the Breakup Lawyer. Please welcome Atlanta's favorite divorce attorney, Brittany M. Dixion, to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Okay, so we have to talk about that last part. You're known as the Breakup Lawyer. Is that good or is that bad?
It depends on asking, right? If you come to me and are sitting in my chair, then it's a good thing for you. If your spouse is looking me up because they see my name on some paperwork, then that's not really a good thing for them.
I think that's an amazing name. And I definitely see both sides of that. And I could understand why that would be like someone would always remember that name, right? So if they say, "Oh, just go to the Breakup Lawyer," you're like, "Who?" Like that is just it's actually genius. I love it. I think it's
Thank you. And that's honestly what caught my attention on social media. Can't remember if it was TikTok or Instagram, and I'm like, well, wait. And then you dropping gems, and I'm like, I didn't think about that. And and I'm married, we good, but I still just like, okay, well, this is good. And you've been dropping gems and everything else. So I'm super excited for everybody else to get to know you more too.
Thank you. And you don't know how many married women are like, I'm happily married, but I keep you in the corner pocket. Just
listen. Stay prepared so you ain't looking.
Stay ready so you don't got to get ready, okay?
So let's back up a little bit. I want to talk about, so you're originally from Brooklyn.
I am, Brooklyn.
Okay, and you moved to Atlanta in 2016.
I did, yeah.
And I want to talk about like life in Brooklyn before you even, made it to Atlanta.
New York is an amazing place, right? Mm-hmm. I say that being from New York. I feel like every New Yorker is like, what do you mean? New York is the greatest place in the world. But it really is. It's a very unique place. Mm-hmm. I was actually having a conversation yesterday with my Uber driver about the culture. I think growing up in New York is an amazing experience because you're exposed to so much that otherwise in most states you're not going to really see, right?
Yeah.
So it's knowing the difference between a Russian accent and a German accent just by hearing them speak, right? Or whether someone is from whether someone's Czech or, if they're Dominican or Puerto Rican from the way that they look, you know what I mean? And it's that kind of stuff that you don't really get growing up in the South. And I say that because I have a 10-year-old daughter. I'm raising her in Atlanta. You know what I mean? And it's Black, white, Mexican, right? But being from New York, it's German and Russian and Jamaican and Haitian, and it's so many different things. And I think that is amazing. I'm Jamaican, my family's Jamaican, and New York is an amazing place. I love it.
Now, how did you decide to get into law?
So I'm a second generation lawyer. My aunt is a lawyer. She was a civil rights lawyer. She was working for the NAACP. She now works for the Department of Education. I said that I was going to go into private practice because, that
try to make
civil rights law is cool and it's rewarding morally, but it was not as rewarding financially. So keep it real. I was like, I ain't gonna do that, but I'm gonna do something else. So I was inspired by her, honestly. And, my aunt, shout out to her. She's my rock, my bestie. She made me, after college, take a semester off. She did not allow me to go straight into law school because she felt like I only wanted to do it because she did it, because I always wanted to be just like her. So she said, I want you to choose your path based on you, not based on trying to do what I did. So I did. I took a semester off. I actually toyed with the idea of being a psychologist and maybe going into some sort of psychology program, dealing with, mental health patients, things like that. And so I shadowed someone for about 3 months, and I interned at a law firm, and I was like, girl, I'm going to law school, right? And surprisingly, in family law, you wouldn't imagine how much of a therapist I am to most of my clients because it ended up being the same thing anyway. So I think I picked the right practice area for my personality type and what I wanted to do.
What did you love about it? What did you love about this internship where you're like, I'm going to law school. This is it's calling me?
So I'm from Brooklyn and I'm very argumentative by nature. Okay. And I think that, just be honest. And I think that, the litigation of it, right? Like to be able to advocate for someone that can't advocate for themselves and stand up for someone else and say, actually, no, you're not about to do that, right? And I think coming across in the world, there's so many people that walk around thinking that they can do and say and do whatever they want, like their word is bond or law. And I'm like, No, it's not. And we doing this, right? And I think that being a psychologist, I felt like it would be helpful, but I wasn't fighting for anything or anyone, right? I was helping someone fight their own demons, but I wasn't actually helping someone stand up for themselves. And I think that being a lawyer is really rewarding. I mean, we have cases that, you know, sometimes I'm like, this is, but then I have cases where I really have to like get in the mud and argue and fight for them, and to see someone who's beaten down or broken down or felt like they didn't have a way out say, thank you so much for helping me. That is something that I knew I wanted to experience.
And very rewarding. And it is you advocating just like your aunt, just in a different way. So I like, and I want you to share, but the story of why you chose family law is like you learned about grandparents' visitation rights or something like that. Well,
y'all was on my website looking at that.
Look, I was like, now that's funny, because I was like, well, wait, what are grandparent visitation rights? Like, what is it?
Let me, girl. My mama gonna see this, so I love you, Mom. However, my mom and I have always had like an estranged relationship, right? Which I feel like mother-daughter relationships are very complicated anyway, especially among Black women.
Yeah.
So when you add environment and with that coupled with our parents, and, you know, they grew up in an era where mental health wasn't important. So they had unhealthy outlets and stuff like that. Right. So I think we were just doomed from the start, she and I. And then being in Brooklyn didn't make it any better. So I was, how old was I when I got pregnant with my daughter? 22-ish. And she and I were beefing about something. I don't know what we were arguing about. We were constantly arguing. But we were arguing about something. And I was sitting in my juvenile law class, actually. And my professor, I remember him, bald head, white man, glasses. And he was like, yeah, so we're going to talk about grandparent visitation rights. And I was like, we talking about what? And he was like, you know, basically the law in North Carolina, which is where I went to law school, and here in Georgia as well, states that if a grandparent has a familial, obviously they have a familial relationship, if they have any personal relationship with the child, if they've spent any time with them, et cetera, that they have the right to petition the court for some sort of custody and or visitation with the child outside of you, right? So I was like, I was pregnant, big and round.
Custody too?
Potentially, depending on what's going on. Yeah, we can get into the legalities of it, but yes, potentially. I have a case. I'm getting ready to petition a grandparent to take custody from mom right now, actually. But yes, it happens all the time. Okay. But in that class, we were specifically going over visitation rights, and I was big and round and pregnant, and I had just told my mom, I think I actually told her, you ain't never gonna see me and this baby. Like, you know, I said something crazy, which is not true. My daughter is with her right now. Every summer, bye.
But you meant it in that moment. You meant it.
I meant it. I was serious about that thing. I was like, girl, you ain't gonna never see me again. But he said that, and I raised my hand, and obviously the big fat pregnant girl in class, right, talking about, wait a minute now. So I was like, so you mean to tell me that my mother can get visitation rights to my baby even if I say no? He was like, yes. If the court grants it to her, you will have to give that baby to her on a schedule, just like you would in a marriage or, you know, baby daddy or whatever the situation is. And I was like, So the next semester, I got a family law internship at a law firm. And I've been doing it ever since. That kind of opened the door, and I've just been, I've been doing it ever since. But the motivation was spite, okay? Because I was like,
let me see how I can get around this.
Get around this, correct.
Yes.
Okay, so you founded your family firm. It's called the Litigation Corner, right? In 2021?
Yes.
Did you decide, why was that important to you at that moment? Like, when did you decide, okay, this is what I want to do? Because you were doing something else previous to this.
I was.
Okay.
Child, y'all asking all the little messy questions today. Let me say. So, I was working. I was working at this law firm, girl, and her vision was really inspiring, right? all black women lawyers, young, attractive. You know, to be black, educated, and a woman on the internet is a dope thing right now. It's a huge marketing thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So and don't be beautiful on top of that. Right. So like it was a thing. And I was so in love with her vision. But, you know, when your heart is not in the right space, you can't inspire and mentor other women, right? In the way that you should be able to as a leader. So I think I was going through that. I was green and eager to learn and be in a space that felt like home and trying to find a firm that felt like home for me. And it wasn't there, right? There were comments about what I'm driving, what you got on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know, and I like to be cute. Everybody likes to be cute. So, you know, when you start getting those comments from your workplace and realizing like this isn't the space that you thought it would be, I knew then that I knew I was going to do Breakup Lawyer regardless, right? So I knew that Breakup Lawyer was going to be my personal brand, whether I started my own firm or was at someone else's firm. And I think when I started kind of diving into Breakup Lawyer and sharing it with my employer, like, hey, girl, look at what I want to do. What do you think? And I'm all excited. And she looking at me like, girl, what? You know? So I decided
was it a
then.
little bit of like, she thought you were kind of like doing too much, like relax a little bit, like play the back a little bit. Was it?
Yeah,
was it some of
I
that?
think it was.
Okay.
It was definitely play the back, but it was also like threatened, right? Because when you look at a younger lawyer than you, and this woman was my senior by like years, maybe 10 years of practice on me, right? So when you look at a lawyer that's younger than you, that you obviously see has leadership skills, but also has tools that you don't have, right? Because one thing about older lawyers, they don't have that one up on branding and social media and things like that, right? They don't know how to use that because that's not how they came up. Something that's unique about the new generation of lawyers, especially black women, black lawyers, period, really. We, men included, excuse me, fellas, we, you know, have that reach, right?
Yeah.
And being personable and understanding that being a lawyer doesn't mean you have to dress like an old white man all the time, right? So we allow ourselves to become more personable to regular people, which in turn brings us more clients, right? So I think that for her, it was feeling threatened by me in that, like, what this little girl about to come in here and do, right? And in reality, Breakup Lawyer would have been Breakup Lawyer, and then all of the clients that I have would have been clients of the firm. So it would have been actually smart, right? But like I said, when your heart isn't in the right place, you're not going to reap those benefits. So I decided after I became uncomfortable that I wanted to just create the space for other women that I needed,
that you were looking
and
for.
you know, thug it out and figure it out on my own, and that's what I've done, and I haven't looked back since.
I love that.
So let's talk about the process of even starting your own firm, right? Like what did that look like, and what are some of the challenges you faced that you didn't necessarily realize was going to be like a thing?
Girl.
She's like, y'all coming with these questions today.
Right.
Look, if y'all are listening to the podcast, go to YouTube because her facial expressions,
Everything.
Let me think. You know what? I will say I've been blessed in that my experience running the firm has not been negative so far. The firm is a baby, right? We started in 2021. It's 2023. I think that I sat down on my couch. My boyfriend at the time and I were talking, and I was like, that job is done. And like, I'm over with. I took 5 clients with me, right? Because they wanted to go. I know that people think that you can't do that in law world and law firms. The client is the boss, right? So if the client says, I want that lawyer, I'm going with that lawyer. They have the choice to do that. So I told my clients that I was leaving the firm. They said, we going wherever you going. I was like, okay. I sat up with my boyfriend at the time. We came up with a name for the firm. I think I was like Litigation Station and something. And, you know, I was coming up with all kind of stuff. And then we came up with Litigation Corner. And I was like, okay, I jumped on that website, turned it into an LLC, and then went from there, right? And I was like, okay, now I have 5 clients. they have to pay me. So I took the money, right? I was like, okay, all right, we got a little bit of change, right? Yeah. And then I was like, okay, what do I do now? And it's like, okay, well, you know how to work a case, so just work your case. And was at home. I had my computer and my bar license and my clients, and that was all I needed to get started, right? Mm-hmm. And the firm has obviously grown tremendously. We have like 63 cases right now. Ooh. I have 2 staff members. We obviously have an office and, things like that now. So it was literally jumping out the window, right? And just being like, I've got faith in myself, so let's see what happens.
How long did you have your license to the point where you actually started the firm?
A year.
Okay.
So I was a baby.
So listen, your confidence is everything.
Yeah,
it is everything. I love that.
Thank you. And I think that that's the part that is great in leadership, right? Mm-hmm. Because you have to be confident to, like, my clients, they don't ever ask me how long I've been licensed. No, I know what I'm doing. And if I don't know, I'm gonna figure it out and we're gonna rock it out, right? But I think being an employee, that doesn't always work with certain bosses, right? Yeah. So that was the motivation for the firm, and I'm proud of it. I have not looked back. I would not go back. I just wouldn't.
Yeah. No, that is amazing, because I just was thinking in general, like, I feel like when I first started in my career path, I don't think I ever would have had the confidence to be like, well, this ain't the space I need to be in. Let me create my own space. I would have been more like, well, let me find somebody else to help you along, because you just don't feel confident in the knowledge that you have all the time. So.
Right.
Kudos.
But I think that had I been licensed earlier, right, in a time where, because you got to remember, everything was via Zoom at that point, like, court. And it was just easier to do things electronically, right? I didn't come up being a lawyer in the era of where you needed a brick and mortar for people to take you seriously, right? So I think that being a younger lawyer, it made it easier for me to become an entrepreneur, because it wasn't necessary for me to have a corner office with, city views for you to want to give me a $10,000 retainer. If that wasn't necessary, right? So I think that contributed to it as well. And I think it was just God's timing. He was like, girl, you can do it. Go ahead. And we did it.
I love that. On your website, it says from breakups to makeups, you have them covered. I need to know, how many of your clients end up completely breaking up versus reconciling? Like, what would you say the percentage is?
So I always percentage. Let's see.
Or just tell us from your standpoint, like how has it?
80% of my clients go through with it.
Okay,
80%. That 20% though, they stress me out, and let me tell you why. I always have a conversation with my clients, right, and say, are you ready to do this? Because I can handle the legal process for you. You have to be ready to handle the emotional process. And divorce is very traumatic. Like, it is, for me, it's routine, right? I draft it, I file it, we file this, we file that. That's routine. But you at home, you got to walk around with somebody that you've been with for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You're not speaking anymore, right? You're arguing, you're fighting, you're uncomfortable. That's the part that is really hard. And sometimes my clients don't understand what's about to happen, right? Because once you file those papers and you serve your spouse, that's it. That doesn't mean you can't reconcile, but that's a turning point in your relationship that you're going to have to heal from if you do decide to reconcile, right?
Gotcha.
So I always ask my clients, hey, are you ready for this? And I can usually tell in a consultation whether they're ready or not. And I will tell them, I don't think you're ready. I'm very honest. I don't think you're ready. I don't think that, I think you need to wait a minute. I always ask my clients, have you been to couples therapy? Have you been to marriage counseling? When is the last time you had sex, right? I need to know these things to understand. If you just had sex with your husband last week, then sis, you're not ready to get a divorce. Y'all was screwing last week. What are we talking about, right? Yeah. So for me, I have a client right now. She pulled that trigger. Like, she came in hot. I'm over it. I'm done. La 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 la. I was like, oh, okay, sis, whatever. Girl. could say this because the case is over. We got in that courtroom. She had been having sex with her husband the entire time that the case was going on. Apparently, they had conversation about reconciling her husband. He ain't had no lawyer, then got on a call. I thought we was done with this. What we doing? I mean, I thought we was coming to dismiss this. Ain't nobody told me we was dismissing nothing. So I don't know what's going on. So the judge looking at me like, Attorney Dixon, you need a second? I absolutely do.
A few.
Right?
A few.
Talk to my client. Right. I talk to my client. I'm like, what is happening? Oh, well, Did you screw your husband? Have you seen your husband? Yes. What do you want to do? I don't know, because I'm just scared that it's her fear is realistic, right? Yeah. I'm afraid that if I go back, the behavior is going to stay the same anyway. And I said, I understand that. You're right. Because sometimes spouses, I don't want to say women, spouses will leave. That'll temporarily change the behavior, right? To get you to come back. And then it goes back to normal. I said, you're right. That's true. But my question to you is, right now, do you want to be married to this man? Yes. I said, then that's it. We got to be done. Right. Yeah. And then when you are ready emotionally, you're done, then we can do this again. But don't lie. Don't lie to your lawyers. For everybody that's listening, please don't lie.
Right. You got me up here looking crazy.
The judge was literally like, looking like, you need a second? I'm like, yes, Your Honor. All right, Attorney Dixon, do your thing. I'm like, oh my God. So, I get it though. I say breakups to makeups because of the emotional part, right? Yes. Like I am not one that is going to push you to get a divorce, right? I always ask my clients, where are you? How are you feeling? Are you sure? That's something I say to them all the time. Some of my clients get annoyed during the consult. They're like, girl, I told you I was sure. Like, what you keep asking, right? Yeah. But I say that because I've given clients who weren't ready resources, right? Like I have a marriage counselor I refer them to. I have activities I tell them they should try. I have books I give them to read, right? In order to try and mend their relationship so they don't have to come back to me. So when I say breakup, say makeup, that's what I mean.
I appreciate that about you too, because especially if you listen to the people that have the commercials running with billboards, whatever, it's like their desire is for you to go through with the divorce. But it's like you're nurturing the clients and making sure they're good and making sure the decision really is right for their family. And
correct.
I appreciate that. Like it's not about it. It don't seem like it's about the dollar with you.
It's not. And the reality of it is, like, nobody wants a client. I don't want to take your money, start working, then you come back like, hey, I'm done. I want to stay married. Can I get some money back? Then I got to be like, no. And then we got to go back and forth. That's a headache for me. I don't want to do that. If you're not ready to give me your money because you're not ready, don't do that, because I'm not about to play with you behind the
I already started working. That money's
right. So I mean, it's more of a headache for me. And like I said, starting the process for you is traumatic. So you're not going to be able to undo the fact that you served your husband with a divorce petition. He's always going to look at you and remember how he felt when he got those papers, right?
Yeah, that's so true.
It's not something that I promote, because the reality of it is you're breaking up a family. I'm helping people break up their families, and that is not, for some it's good, right? If you're in an abusive relationship, and which a lot of people are, right? And that needs to stop. Yes, but for those that just can't figure it out because you've been married too long, and you've got the 5-year itch now, and hey, I don't know what to do, and we just grew apart. We just grew apart, people. I'm like, y'all ain't grew apart. Y'all need to go to couples therapy and sit down and learn how to communicate again, right? Because you're changing, but just because you're changing doesn't mean it has to end. You just have to change with your partner. So a lot of people don't understand that.
Before getting married, what do you think is absolutely essential for couples to know? Because I think that people get into it for whatever reasons, but they don't really understand, marriage. And what do you think is missing, or do you think that it's more of later on they don't know what's going on? Tell me your thoughts, because I know you've talked to so many different people.
Marriage is a contract. And
Okay.
people on the internet hate when I say that to them, right?
Okay.
To an atheist, marriage has no biblical meaning, right? It's not ordained by God, but they're still married, right? Marriage is a contract that you are entering into that is recognized by the states, and you are bound by that contract. In the event that you breach that contract for whatever reason, bad behavior, then there are consequences that come with that, right? So a lot of people get married thinking that they want to be married when they really just want a committed relationship.
Say
Right.
that again.
When I ask people, why do you want to be married? A lot of people get married thinking that they want to be married when they really just want a committed relationship. You know?
That's deep.
If I ask you why you want to be married and you tell me, I want my life partner, I want somebody that, you know, I can depend on, somebody that's compassionate, somebody that's considerate, somebody that's there all the time. You can have that without being married.
That's true.
Given that stance, and I want to switch gears, but given that stance, what is a valid reason to desire marriage then?
Who you want me to talk to? You want me to talk to the women?
Let's talk to the women.
Okay. If you're going to be with a man for more than 2 years in a committed relationship, you are committed. If you are thinking of purchasing property, if you are going to push out that man's child, you need to be married.
That's good.
Marriage protects you, right? It protects you and the time that you're investing into this person as a woman. Okay. I have women that come see me. They've been with somebody for 10 years. They got 3 kids. I invested this into his business. We bought this house together. Or he bought this house for me and my kids, but my name is not on the deed and my name, you know what I'm saying? He gives me money every month for all the bills. What do I do? Because we're breaking up and he trying to put me out the house. You gotta get your behind, out that man's house.
Yeah.
What do you mean? But I've been with him for 10 years. So you're not married. I can get you child support. But I gave him $10,000 to start his trucking business and now it makes $1 million. That's nice. It was a gift. You want to sue him to try? I mean, what do you want me to do? You're not married. So you've invested all this time into this person and energy and you've pushed out. Let me tell you something. You are giving life to this man, right? You are pushing children out for a man, naming them after him. They are his namesake, such and such Johnson. Your last name is Jackson.
That's true.
Why are we doing that and we're not married? Why are we dead? Why are we committing years of our lives as women and we're not married? Anything after 2 years, to me, I'm looking at you like, so when y'all get married? Because what are we doing, right? There's major benefits to being married for women.
What about as a man?
Now, let me tell you something. In this day and age, because these women got bags, okay? When I tell you, these women,
Brittany,
these women got bags. So these men be coming in my office. Yeah, I make $150,000. My wife making $3 million. And, you know, I need some of her 401k. She needs some, you know what I mean? So the
so
divorce, when men and women get divorced now, it's kind of a level playing field unless one of the spouses is dependent on the other.
Gotcha.
Right? But for my men now, let's talk about traditionally, if they have a stay-at-home wife, marriage is not really as beneficial for them when it comes time to get a divorce, if they're, you know, the providing spouse and the spouse is dependent. But the thing about marriage for men is that as they're working their way through the world, right, and building their legacies and trying to get that promotion and trying to, be taken more seriously at their corporate office, being married helps them, right? It shows signs of stability. It shows signs of integrity. It shows signs of being trustworthy, right? So a lot of times when you have men that are going up for these huge positions and they're like, he's not married though. You know how many times I've heard that?
Oh,
yeah, such and such and such, but he's not married though. And the men, right? Because you got to remember, we're looking at like old school head honchos that are running stuff, right? So as we are coming up and trying to pierce that corporate veil and we're trying to rise up, it's the old school people are looking at you like, I mean, that's cool. Really? You 28, 29, 30, and you've done a lot. Why isn't he married? Right? Because the guy that has the same qualifications as you and is married is going to get that position before you simply because he's married. Which means more money. Crazy. Which means more money to take care of your family. Right?
Yeah. I didn't realize that.
Me either.
So
tell us your take on prenups. Do you believe in prenups?
Absolutely. I have I have shirts that say prenups are divorce insurance. I'm gonna get that trademark. Yes.
And talk about why prenups are divorce insurance.
Because
I don't think women. I think it's taboo. I think people don't like to talk about it, or they don't. They don't really want to go there. Like, well, if someone loves me, then they would never ask me. Like, talk about it from a business perspective.
Most of us don't plan to get into a car accident. But we have insurance just in case we do.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? We have medical insurance. I don't plan to get hit by a truck. But if I do, I have insurance that will help me pay for something, right? With marriage, people think that you are like automatically saying you're going to have a divorce if you get a prenup, which is the furthest thing from the truth, right? It's just there in the event that you do, right? For my women, especially my dependent spouses, okay? I want to be a dependent spouse one day, honey, because I'm tired of this boss girl life, okay? Like, I want to... Give me about 5 years and I want to stay at the house too. So I get it, right? So for my dependent spouses, it's so important for you to have a prenuptial agreement because you are completely at this person's will. What kind of money they give you, how much they invest into you, are the bills getting paid, et cetera, right? So prenups can include certain clauses depending on the state that you're in. California is one of those states where you can't have a lifestyle clause in it, right? And a lifestyle clause is like an adultery clause, right? Saying, hey, if you cheat, I'll get this much money, right? I had a case that said their prenup said, if you cheat, I'm entitled to $12,000 in alimony a month, right? Period. And if she cheated, she would get no alimony whatsoever, right? And I think that protected both of them, right? In that, hey, I know going into this marriage that you're always going to be the breadwinner. You're always going to make more money than me. And I don't want to be stuck in this space with you in the event that you wake up one day and say, I'm going to go screw, Jane, Mary, and Tisha, right? And there's nothing that I can do about it because you have all the money and I can't do anything, right? So that protects you in that space, right? You can also divide assets up. If you know going into it, I have this boat that my family gave to me, or this boat that I just bought, and I don't want this man to take this boat from me in 5 years if we get a divorce. You can say, hey, I'm coming into this marriage with this boat. This is my boat. Can't touch it. It's my yacht. You take your yacht, I'm gonna take my yacht, right? Because without a prenuptial agreement, everything just kind of goes into the pot. And depending on the behavior and the reason for the marriage and, everything else, some things may get split evenly and some things may not.
Maybe vicious. Yeah.
So I think definitely for my dependent spouses, it's really important because those lifestyle clauses help a lot in the end.
Yeah.
A lot in the end. And I think what we have to realize is that, unfortunately, in the world that we live in, and something I've noticed in practice, is not all judges take cheating as seriously as they did back in the day, right? It's so normalized now for people to just act on their temptations and urges that some judges will be like, okay, he cheated, now what?
Yeah, I've heard this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's so true.
What do you want to do? Now, he cheated. I understand he hurt you, but I'm not going to give you $25,000 in alimony, right? So what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Right.
But
so for that's why it's also needed.
Yeah. So Atoya and I had talked about this earlier in the season. Like, I have a prenup in my marriage and it worked for us, but it was more of we like each other right now. So God forbid we ever get into a space where we don't and we want to be done. Like, I don't want to be arguing over this stuff and it becomes this long, vicious, hurtful situation when, okay, well, this is what we agreed to beforehand and we're good.
Especially in so here in Georgia, we have, it's the South. So you have your counties that are more rural, traditional, right? Good old boy counties where, they protect their women and the wives that, stayed at home and did all that. But in your counties that are a little more progressive, like Fulton County, where I primarily practice DeKalb, Gwinnett, some of those judges, they're younger and, they're like, listen, I get it, but
what else? Yeah.
I've been cheated on too, sis. What else? Right. So it's like, you got to pull up your bootstraps and move on, so it's harder in those counties. But one thing that you said, it was important in saying that, one day we're not going to like each other. I think that's a huge issue with relationships, period, right now, is that people think that they are going to make it to 35, 40 years of marriage liking their partner every day.
Yes.
Like, girl, no, he's going to disgust you probably for like 3, 4, 5 years, potentially. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and that's just okay. Like, that's just what it is.
It's a part of life. Like it's a part of people evolving. Like, I talk about this all the time too. I'm like, I did get married thinking like marriage was a fairy tale. Like, you get happily, you get married and it's happily ever after. And again, didn't have examples, but this is just what I saw and made up in my head. But I'm like, no, you go through life and it's like he grew and changed and all the things. I grew and changed. We experienced things. Life got hard. Life got fun. Like, whatever. And you literally become different people. And through that evolution, I may not like the person you were in year 7, but in year 8, year 8 was that thing, and year 11 was a look. You know what I mean? Like, and that is a part of life and marriage and all the things, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
That is okay.
And people have to get more realistic. I think that marriage counseling and couples counseling is extremely important before you get married. My spouses that get married, they ain't never been to counseling. They don't. Child, go talk to the lady, okay? Because
I can't help you. Like, you ain't ready, but I can't help you.
Most of the things that people sit down in my chair and talk about, I'm like, y'all haven't been to counseling, can't have you? No, I can tell, because this is something that you, if you had done the work, could have actually worked out, right?
That's good.
One thing in my own personal life that I do when I talk to guys, and if I'm dating someone, I always ask them, you ever been to counseling? You ever been to therapy, sir? Nah, I ain't never. You should probably go. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's one of the first things I say. Yeah. What I need to go for? Because you've never been, and that's a problem, right? The fact that you've never been. And then if I get into a relationship, I'm like, we're going to go to couples therapy. You don't have to wait for a problem to start to go. It will help give you the tools that you need to be able to communicate through the problem, so that when they come, you're not flying off the handle and creating more trauma in your relationship that you then have to go back and try to heal later on, right?
Yeah, good.
So I think that, it's really important. And a lot of people just want to get married just to say that they have a ring or they got married or put the pictures on Instagram and make a reel and have a big party. Most people want to have a prom and get dressed up. That's really what it is.
They put an adult prom.
So everything's for the
Center of
show.
attention.
Everything's
Correct.
for the show. It's so, it's definitely different nowadays.
For sure. So I was going to chat a little bit because I know you said you were pregnant in school and went through law school and the whole nine. I want to talk a little bit about the motherhood.
Oh,
What you about to say?
I was about to say, girl, don't you ask about her daddy. Don't play with me.
Oh,
up here on the show today.
Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
Don't you ask me about her daddy on the show.
Oh my goodness, you are hilarious. No, I want you to speak about the motherhood journey and going through law school, taking the bar exam and starting to practice and stuff, and just like that experience for you.
So I wasn't the only one pregnant in law school. There was another girl in my class that was pregnant too. And I think my resilience is not something that I really paid attention to until so many people started pointing it out, right? In my mind, it's always been, you just got to do what you got to do. Like, that's just what it is. You have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it but you, so do it. And it wasn't until I got pregnant in law school and I was like, okay, I'm pregnant. I'm just pregnant in law school, right? I got to go to class. I got to do this. I got to do that. And this girl was in my class and people were making bets on whether we would come back the next semester. And I found that out later on.
Wow.
Yes. She did not come back. Of course I did. The next semester, right? I was back. I had classes that were night classes. And shout out to all of my law school professors. They were amazing. I would roll up in class with my baby in a stroller, right? Because I had to go to class. And during graduation, a girlfriend of mine, a classmate, she was sitting next to me. And in my mind, like I said, I just looked at it like it's something you had to do.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't a big thing to me. I just now had a baby in law school and that was cool. And that's just what I had to do. And she sat next to me and she said, Brittany, you had a baby in law school. Do you realize that? Like your child is sitting behind us at graduation and you graduated on time. Could have graduated early if I really wanted to, but you graduated on time from law school. And she said, look at how many people started with us and didn't finish and they were not pregnant. They just didn't finish.
Right.
And I looked at her and I was like, that's pretty dope, huh? Right? Like, that's pretty amazing. And I sacrificed a lot. I have mom guilt, I will tell you that, because in my early 20s, I was moving so much. My daughter will be 10 in December. Shout out to me. I kept a little person alive for 10 years, Lord. And she is amazing. I'm so happy about that thing because I was like, oh, Lord. Oof. But I have real mom guilt about maybe the first 3 years of her life because I was moving so fast, right? I feel like in your 20s, you do that anyway. But, you know, for me, being in law school, having to sit for the bar, didn't pass the first time. So then I had to get a job, right, and work. And it was taking her to daycare, doing this, doing that, being tired, being frustrated, not realizing that my patience wasn't what it needed to be for a 2-year-old, right? Yeah. Because I was so exhausted and not understanding what was happening because I was just doing what I thought I had to do. So when I look back at pictures of my baby from 1 to 3, I cry sometimes because I'm like, God, her little voice was so cute and she was so teeny tiny and I don't remember a lot of it, you know, because I couldn't sit down and like really take in the fact that I was raising this little person and she's so beautiful and amazing. Which is why I said, I want to sit down. Okay. Yeah. I want to go sit down. If I have another baby, sir,
you got us, right? You got us.
Because I'm not doing nothing. Yeah. So,
and I think you have to give yourself grace in that because, you know, the reality is she does not remember those first 2 years.
She doesn't.
Right. And so that's why God makes them the way they do, because he know we ain't gonna get it all right in the beginning.
Right.
So definitely give yourself grace, and more importantly, give yourself the flowers you deserve. It's been like, just to hear this, it's very inspirational, and I know when your daughter, now that she's 10 and she's growing, she's gonna hear these stories and be so inspired and proud of her mama. So
thank you. She's already proud. Let me tell you something. Her name is Blake. Blake asked me the other day, "Mommy, are you famous?" I was like, what? No. She was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I'm very sure I'm not famous, baby. Why?" "You're on Google." And I was like, okay. And then she was like, "And you're on TikTok, and you're on Instagram, and you've got thousands of followers." And I was like, "Blake, okay." And then she said, "Can you post me on your Instagram?" I was like, "Girl, if you don't get on my..."
So cute.
So she's already, it's like she knows, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just mommy
So it
to
makes
her.
it worth
and
it. Right?
It does.
Like,
it does. Yeah.
You never have a manual. You don't really know how to do motherhood. You just are guessing every day you wake up. And sometimes you make good guesses and sometimes not. But what you're looking for is that final product. And when you can see that, like, oh yeah, my kid think I'm dope as fuck.
Right.
That's what you want. Like, you want that good relationship, and you want them to think highly of you. So
absolutely.
But she doesn't want to be a lawyer. I can tell you that. She said, "I don't want to be a lawyer." I was like, "Why?" "You work too much." I was like, "Oh, okay." She wants to be an orthodontist though, so she might get a little coin. I like that.
That's right. She's thinking it through. She's thinking it through. You also have a blog too. I don't know how you do all this. Your daughter's right. You do work a lot. How talk about the blog. Like,
okay. So let me ask you a question. Hold on. Which one are y'all looking at? With the blog on the Litigation Corner website or on Breakup Lawyer's website?
I think it's on Breakup Lawyer's website.
Oh Lord. Okay, so I changed the title.
Oh, you did?
I had to change.
Okay. Oh shoot.
Okay, so the blog as it's written on Breakup Lawyer is definitely like in my voice, right?
Yes.
It's me.
Yeah.
I condensed it down a little bit for Litigation Corner's website.
Okay.
So are you looking at Y'all Used to Blank, a guide to healthy uncoupling? Is that the one you're looking at?
Yes, is that what you saw, Atoya? I didn't see that one. Wait.
Yeah, I want to talk about, how did you come up with this?
Whoa. Brittany.
Okay, I clearly opened up a whole can of... She's like, they are coming with the questions, right?
Okay, so let me tell
Okay. Oh,
all right, so I wrote this blog. This was the first blog I wrote. I wrote that blog. Okay. I don't use AI. I write my own stuff because I feel like people hearing my voice is what makes them trust me. They know my personality. I want you to hear me so that you can decide whether I'm the person you want to guide you through a process or not, right? So I try to show up as authentic as possible. So that blog on Breakup Lawyer's website is extremely authentic to who I am as a person. Okay. Lord. The title came from a conversation that my girlfriend and I were having. Hey, Bree. We were on the phone, and my girlfriend was recently divorced at the time, and we were talking about something, and I was like, because I don't know why she acting like that. Y'all used to, right? Like, y'all used to, I don't know why these women be acting like they didn't used to.
So he was good
this person last week. Like, why are you acting like that?
Right.
And she busted out laughing, because that's just who I am.
Yes.
And I said, I'm going to write a blog called Y'all Used to Blank, a guide to how to break up with your man, because y'all love to act like y'all can't stand this person when you were just screwing him last week, right? I don't understand.
Was so good. I was like,
Thank
was
you.
straight to the point. I was like, okay, I get it. I get why people come to you. Because listen,
I changed the title on Litigation Corner to Y'all Used to Love, because I was like, maybe it's coming on a little strong, you know? Maybe it's a little much.
That's the New York between.
I know. It was a little aggressive.
Brooklyn.
I was like, let me just dial it back just a little bit, because they might not be able to handle that.
Oh man,
Yes.
you are hilarious.
Yeah, I
Thank
love
you.
it. I think it was brilliant. It definitely draws you in because you want to read like, what is this about? So it was.
And this lawyer up here talking like this.
Right.
Girl, I know.
Oh gosh. Okay. We're gonna fast forward because I know we're running out of time here. We want to get to a little game called the 2-minute drill.
Oh
Yes.
God.
And we're just going to basically ask you this or that questions or just like a fill in the blank. It's super easy, super
Okay.
fun.
Okay.
And we got 2 minutes to answer. So you ready?
Okay, yes.
Whatever come to mind first.
I'm nervous, but I'm
Yeah.
ready.
It's fun.
Okay.
It's fun. Tia, you got the timer?
Yep. You ready?
Okay. Yes. Go to court or settle?
Go to court.
What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
Nothing.
You're joking everything, huh?
I can make anything a joke. Inappropriate.
Makeup or breakup?
Oh, makeup.
Favorite thing to do after work?
Pilates.
Atlanta or Brooklyn?
Brooklyn.
Do you have what's your favorite sports team?
Oh, girl, who? I don't.
She said none. None in Brooklyn either?
The Nets.
I was like, wait a minute now, Brooklyn now. Y'all go hard for y'all's teams.
And she still probably ain't watched the game.
I ain't watched nothing. I got a hat.
What's your favorite go-to, like just quick bite to eat? It's always
Sushi.
good. Sushi. Okay.
Pick one of these TV genres: comedy, drama, or romance.
Can we add horror? I'd rather do
Okay,
that.
you rather be a little scared, be a little
Yeah, I like to
thrilled?
be scared. Uh-huh.
I do not like to be scared. That is
I love
hilarious.
being
Okay.
scared.
So go to the movies or chill at home?
Go to the movies. I love popcorn.
Listen. Okay, what's the next place you want to visit? Like passport stamp visit.
You know, I don't know. I just came from Canada this past weekend. Toronto was cool. It feels like America. The next place will be a Spanish-speaking country. I'm thinking Venezuela. I met a guy from Venezuela. He said it was really nice. So maybe something like that.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay. Here, this is a 2-part. I'll start with the first part of it. If you won the lottery, would you tell anyone?
No.
And
Don't
what's
call me.
the first thing you would buy?
A house.
Okay, last question. What is next for you?
Child. What that mean? What you mean?
What is that? What's next on your list? Is there
next?
something
What are we talking
that
about? Professionally, romantically?
Any of
Either.
that. Any of that.
Whatever came to mind first. The way you laughed made me think something more personal.
Yeah.
It is. I want to have a baby.
You do.
So I do, which means that I got to start taking one of these Negroes a little serious, and I don't know about that. You know, I do want to have another baby though. Like I really want to experience being a mom all over again. That is a big thing for me. But I'm not willing to do it alone. I'm not one of those women that wants to go through that process. And shout out to them because some women can do it and that is good for them, but I don't want to do that. So, you know, I do want to try to settle down and get married and have another baby. That is where I'm at now.
Where you are.
That's beautiful. I love the layers of you. Thank you so much. And if
you.
people want to get a hold of you, because I know there's a lot that we covered, where do they find you?
So my Instagram is at Breakup Lawyer. That's where most people find me. I don't know why they do that. I have a whole website where y'all can just email me. People
Instagram
love
and DM
Instagram. Yes, they DM me all the time. Don't DM me. But if you want to get to know me and my personality, the best place to do that would be my website, Breakup Lawyer's website, my Instagram page. I post a lot of funny reels. People love them for whatever reason. And then my professional side is obviously going to be on the Litigation Corner's website. And yeah, that would be the best place to do it.
And I'll be sure to put links to all the sites and your contact info in the show notes. But thank you so much for joining us.
Girl, we could have talked for another 30 minutes because we was just going. It was so fun. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay, can I just say, Brittany and Dixon brought it. That conversation was funny. She taught us some stuff. Like we laughed and kikied. It was everything.
Yes, listen. And like I said, I've been following her social media, and she cracks me up on social media in general. But in the midst of her, being funny and entertaining stuff, she's really dropping gems that people can work. And it's not just about like, oh, your marriage is ending. Like she said, she wants to see the family unit together, and the tips and tools and stuff she provided hopefully helps someone,
Yes. And y'all reach out to her if y'all have any questions. Okay, that's our show. For the latest on the Inside Lines podcast, make sure to follow us on Inside Lines Podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
And be sure to check us out online at insidelinespodcast.com. And if you have questions for Brittany and you want to shoot them to us. Or if you got topics or things you want us to cover, people you want us to have on, make sure you leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines.
Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you. Holla.